and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We're glad to have you join us always. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Now here are the details. President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted the Harmonized Retirement Age of Teachers Bill 2021 to the Senate for consideration. The executive bill seeks to increase the retirement age of teachers from 60 to 65 and the year of service from 35 to 40. It explained that the move to increase the retirement age and service years was pursuant to Section 58, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Meanwhile, the Senate has passed the bill seeking to prohibit and abolish discrimination between first degrees and higher national diplomas for the purpose of employment and promotions in Nigeria 2021. Stakeholders in the South are insisting that Nigerians must learn from the mistakes of the past and place national interest above parochial ones in the ongoing constitutional amendment. This was at the Uyo Center Zonal Public Hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution. Clement Barikwe reports.
The zonal public hearing for Uyo Center covers Akwa Ibom, Rivers and Cross River states. 11 broad areas of amendment of the 1999 Constitution were put forward to enable the people present their positions.
Local government administration, such as autonomy of local government under the Constitution, uniformity in the tenure of local government, financial autonomy, and who conducts election of the local government, and so on.
And there is so much power vested in the center at the expense of the constituent state, so as to make our federation indeed truly a unitary state under the guise of a federal state.
We believe that if states control their resources, there will be healthy competition, which can translate into national economic growth and development.
Representatives of Akwa Ibom and Rivers State, socio-political groups, labor unions and individuals call for devolution of power, local government and judiciary autonomy, as well as creation of more state and local governments.
It is demanded of ILO member states through their national parliaments to rectify and domesticate such standards in their national laws.
We want to have right number 11, the right to nature, the right to protecting our environment.
When successful, this will be the fourth alteration to the 1999 Constitution, and the stakeholders in Uyo Center believe major fundamental issues affecting the country will be resolved in the proposed amendment. In Uyo, Clement Barikwe, NTA News.
And now to the Constitution Amendment sitting in Kano. Our correspondent, Semira Hamisu Shira, joins us from Kano, where one of the Constitutional Amendment sitting is taking place. Semira, let's have a brief outlook of the sitting, if you can hear me clearly. Hello, Semira.
Yes, I can hear you, Lydia. The session was declared open by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduji this morning, and the chairman of the session of the Northwest Kano Center, Right Honorable Alhassan Adu Dogwa, is also here with me. There were presentations from representatives of the Kano State Emirate Council, the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Kano State House of Assembly, and members of the Kaduna State Elders Development Association. They are seeking for the creation of the new Kaduna and Gurara state. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduji assured that the Kano State government is 100% in support of the Constitution Amendment. Similarly, earlier in his presentation, the chairman of the session, Alhassan Adu Dogwa, also assured Nigerians that the aim of the exercise is to ensure that Nigerians will have a constitution that is carried by all and sundry. All the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians in all nooks and crannies are captured in the constitution.
Okay, now, if it's possible, we'd like to talk to your guest there. Let us hear his response concerning contributions. Have they been encouraging so far?
Okay, you're going to hear him now. Right Honorable Alhassan Adu Dogwa, what can you say about the session?
Let me first of all thank the NTA for giving us this very auspicious opportunity to speak to Nigerians at this very critical time. Like you have earlier mentioned in your prelude, that we have started the session this morning. And like I've said, this is the House of Representatives sitting in Kano. And whatever we are doing is on behalf of the leadership of the House under the able speakership of Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila. It is a usual session which we always take at the end of every 4 year. In every 4-year tenure, that the National Assembly, through the two chambers, will have cause to interface with members of the Nigerian public to see to the need as to why we look at our constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the basic needs for a review. And these reviews are actually done in response to really the yearnings and aspirations of the people, like you rightly said. What we are doing today here in Kano is allowing the people have the opportunity to share with us this sole mandate of reviewing and rejecting the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, especially in the wake of so many agitations.
Okay, sir, I would like you to let us know, how have the deliberations been so far? Have they been encouraging?
Responses, like you know, Kano is the center of democracy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has always been wonderful. The reaction and responses from our people are quite brilliant. We have started since 11 o'clock and we're still on. And I don't think we'll be able to even conclude by tomorrow or the next day. So responses of the public, especially the civil society organizations, Bar Association, the NLC, and even a lot of other stakeholders from various committees have been very brilliant and excellent. The committee has found very much a high level of cooperation from our stakeholders as far as this exercise is concerned. And we'll continue to give them the needed opportunity to speak to us. And at the end of the exercise, we will definitely convey to the National Assembly, specifically the House of Representatives, what we have actually gathered in terms of responses of our people from the Kano Center. In the Kano Center here, don't forget, we have Kaduna, we have Jigawa, Katsina, and Kano State being the fourth state.
Okay, Lydia, you've heard from the chairman.
Yes.
Do you have any other question we think
Yes,
for him?
from you personally, how would you describe the outcome of the meeting?
The outcome is awesome. When you step into the venue of the event, you will think it is a groundbreaking ceremony because there are representations from various civil society organizations, community-based organizations, the media, and so many organizations. And one good thing that I was encouraged with, the people there, all the participants there are behaving themselves in an orderly manner, and I think it's going well.
Yes, I actually wanted to talk about how peaceful the deliberations have been. Thank you so much, Semira, for your contributions. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Bye, Lydia.
Thank you. That was Semira Hamisu reporting from Kano on the Constitution Amendment sitting. Let's go over to Michael Olalaye in Lagos with more reports from that zone. Michael?
Thank you, Lydia. The federal government's infrastructural investments in Lagos are channeled around fast-tracking mobility in and out of the seaports with a view to reducing turnaround time and crashing the cost of cargo evacuation. Correspondent examines interventions along this direction in the last few years and how they are changing the spectrum of business opportunities. Metropolitan Lagos is not just home to the busiest seaport in the country, but also houses hundreds of industries. And since the sustenance of these economic firepowers is key to the federal government, infrastructure investments in Lagos are built around basic facilities that will ease their continued existence. The idea of rehabilitating roads, building bridges, and establishing rail connectivity. The Apapa-Oshodi Oworo-Shoki Expressway is one of the few roads linking the seaports, but was previously in a bad state, thereby reducing turnover on investments and creating endless gridlock. But the presidential mandate on the ease of doing business necessitated its reconstruction. Today, progress of work done is put at 75%, with concentration now on the service lanes.
There are about 11 number roads that the federal government is already intervening. Among them is this Lagos Shagamu Road. Initially, there were 2 number lanes. It has been upgraded to 3 number lanes on each side of the carriageway.
Other road projects ongoing or completed include the Victoria Island Outer Marina Idumota Road, apart from the rehabilitation of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
This is a total reconstruction of the road, coming from what you can call the foundation, and this thing has been built up.
It's almost completed. Apart from 8 kilometers, we have SOPA. The only challenge we do have is the issue of compensation.
The icing on the cake is the Lagos-Ibadan rail line project, which, despite awaiting commissioning, is already rendering world-class services to commuters. And the spectrum of hope here is that passengers will not only be moved in thousands, but containers will be exited from their Apapa ports with ease, thereby reducing the constraints on roads.
We have 2 power cars for the DMU and 3 locomotives for coaches, and we have, I think, 7 locomotives for freight. We have also received 87 wagons for freight.
The enduring infrastructural legacies built in Lagos are those that align with the basic and economic needs of the people. Sustenance and security are no longer a problem since they are in place to solve fundamental issues. An inmate of the Warri Correctional Center in Imo State who fled the facility during the April 5, 2021 jailbreak has been rearrested by police in Lagos State. The fleeing inmate, 34-years-old Onyekachi Maduabuchi, was apprehended after he allegedly stole a SIM card during a vigil in a church in Lagos. Adeni Taiwo completes the report.
Onyekachi Maduabuchi was a guest of the Owerri Correctional Center, Imo State, since 2009, standing trial in a case of conspiracy, armed robbery and arson. He, however, fled the facility during a jailbreak in April 5, 2021, and ran to Lagos State, where his elder sister took him in at Customs bus stop, Ijegun. Hoping to find spiritual solution to his problem, the elder sister took Onyekachi for special deliverance at a church in Ijesha area of the state, only for him to commit another crime. This time, stealing a SIM card and a memory card of a phone belonging to a member of the church.
So I go to church and then collect memory card and the SIM card. So as I collect them, they ask me, I tell them, I say,
he has confessed to the crime, and of course, since he escaped from lawful custody, it is a criminal offense.
Investigations further revealed that his case is still ongoing before Justice Nna Amadi of Ngbidi High Court 1, Ngbidi in Imo State.
Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, Akim Olusegun, has directed that the suspects be handed over to Nigerian Correctional Service for further investigation and necessary action.
While assuring that relevant security agencies are collaborating to rearrest all fleeing inmates, the police called on those who are still at large to report themselves at the nearest police station. In Lagos, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Time now for some messages, and when we return, we cross over to Sokoto, where Sadiat is waiting for more reports.
As Oni of Ife, as someone who cares about the well-being and safety of our people, it's time for each and every one of us to realize that COVID-19 is real and it has killed millions of people around the world. Scientists have developed this vaccine. The vaccine is safe for everyone and it contains no microchip, nor can it alter our DNA. However, we must continue to stay safe and stay clean, wear face masks, clean our hands on a regular basis, and try as much as possible to avoid a very large crowd and gathering. For those who choose to be vaccinated, it will go a long way in protecting yourself and your loved ones from COVID-19.
Visit our website on www.nta.ng for more news and updates, or follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News. Stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
Welcome back and glad to have you join us in Sokoto. The Chairman Progressive Governors Forum and Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu has expressed hope that the ongoing constitutional review hearing in the country will diffuse anger among Nigerians and entrench love for one another. Governor Atiku Bagudu said this at the opening of the Northwest Public Hearing of the House of Representatives Special Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution in Birnin Kebbi. Usman Abdullahi Shehu has more.
Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu said in the facet of democracy, constitution should continue to evolve and Nigeria's diverse uniqueness should guide the constitution. The Chairman Progressives Governors Forum also emphasized on a constitutional framework that will mobilize more resources to cater for the people as deliberate effort to address some of the pressing challenges of the present Nigeria.
We have a lot of resources that are lying untapped. We want our representatives in the legislature to bring this to the fore because other parts of the country historically receive more investment to tap their resources. That is why they are richer.
The chairman of the Birnin Kebbi Center Northwest Public Hearing, Mr. Adekoya Adesegun Abdulmajid, described the hearing as an effort to address the rising uneasiness and growing concern over ethno-cultural agitation that might have been connected to the inadequacy of the Nigerian constitution, urging the participants from Kebbi, Sokoto and Zamfara states to use the opportunity wisely. The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, emphasized on the need to improve security and religious tolerance, charging representatives of the three states to voice out honest and important issues that will further cement the unity of the country.
So the coming of all ethnicities, all religious divide to form what we call Nigeria today is not by mistake because God doesn't make mistakes. And we must accept it that way.
Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Now, Governor Amin Waziri Tambuwal has expressed appreciation on the British concern on security and the general well-being of the people of the northwest geopolitical zone of the country. Tambuwal was speaking while receiving a delegation from the British High Commission in Nigeria on courtesy call at Government House, Sokoto. Dulhata Abdullahi has the report.
The British High Commission's delegation is in Sokoto to express support to the state and other northwestern states on matters of security and the general well-being of the people of the zone. This type of visit brings hope for Sokoto state in particular and the northwestern states.
And lastly, we just wanted to commend the progress that the state has made on fiscal transparency and procurement reforms. It's been great to see the progress. And we wanted to welcome the commitment that the state's made to signing up to the Open Government Partnership, which is an excellent step forward. And we'd urge other states to follow the path of Sokoto in this.
Looking at our history in addressing this challenge is really very, very worrisome. Our situation is very disturbing, and we need help. And there are no better people to help Nigeria in this distress and their situation than the UK.
The leader of the visiting British High Commission's delegation, Samuel Waldock, is in charge of governance, conflict, and social development. In another development, the management of the newly established Federal College of Education, Gidamadi, has called for support from the Sokoto state government to ensure the smooth takeoff of the institution. The provost of the college, Professor Umar Farouk Zaki, said, though the college is not captured in the 2021 budget, they want to offer admissions and commence academic activities by October this year. Governor Amin Waziri Tambol promised that state government will offer the college 50 million naira take-off grant, office accommodation, 2 operational vehicles, and some renovations of structures at the college temporary site. In Sokoto, Dalat Abdullahi, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's now back to Lydia in Abuja.
Many thanks, Sadia. Sustainable progress and developmental politics are the two major factors driving the economy and transforming critical sectors for national growth and social stability under the President Muhammadu Buhari change mantra. These gradual processes of engineering a future with a sound foundation for prosperity resonated during NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live on Buhari 6 years of governance and development. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
It is a journey worth assessing as programs and policies of government are impactful on the socio-economic and political well-being of the growing population despite paucity of resources. President Buhari's landmark achievement in transportation, infrastructure, health, security, agriculture, and anti-corruption war are described as major breakthroughs in the nation's history.
This government is doing very well. It's left for us as citizens to make our strategic choice by not just supporting but also contributing positively in ensuring that these social ills that are confronting us are addressed not for our sake but for the sake of our children and those yet unborn.
Guests comment the democratic approach and civil engagement of the national security forces and government at all levels on the growing threat to security and urged agitators to weigh consequences of their actions.
Everybody is pointing to the federal government as if communities, state governors, and everybody else, individuals, should not be involved in security. It's just the federal government's problem.
We need to devolve railways. We need to devolve, this security stamp, duties, etc., etc. These are very critical issues that the state governments can handle at their level, and therefore the federal government will now have, unfettered access and time to be able to deal with very critical issues that are of common services to the rest of the federating units.
As 6 years of transformative leadership demonstrated by President Buhari continues, stakeholders advocate the cooperation of citizens for an inclusive and purposeful governance and drummed support for the indivisibility of Nigeria. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Given the importance of services export in global trade, the Commonwealth Secretariat London is collaborating with Nigerian Export Promotion Council on data gathering and management in relation to trade in services, with a view to developing a reliable statistical roadmap for the services industry. Nneka Oku reports.
The Nigerian services sector has over the years displayed impressive results despite tough economic circumstances. In 2014, after the rebasing of the gross domestic product (GDP), the contribution of the services sector rose to 54.8%. Since then, the sector has shifted attention from oil in line with the quest for diversification. But the biggest challenge remains converting it to revenue. Trade in services has a number of barriers experts say have held back its potential, which includes absence of reliable data. This meeting is an instance of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and the Commonwealth Secretariat to address challenges occasioned by inadequate data.
When Nigeria rebased our economy some years back, it was discovered that services, actually, trade in services accounted for about 50%, 56% of our national GDP. So in other words, it is really doing very well and increasing. So, but why we're here today, why is the Commonwealth trying to help us here? They're trying to collaborate with us to work on data.
The extent to which the economy has developed or has reneged will not be determined unless we have adequate data.
The Nigerian Export Promotion Council believes that collaboration with the Commonwealth Secretariat will fill the gaps in capturing data from relevant institutions with a view to generating, analyzing, and using statistical information on trade-in services in line with the global trend. In Abuja, Nneka Oku, NTA News.
With the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement in full swing, the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, says the success of the AFCFTA will depend on the cooperation and collaboration between member states. Muplan Dakau reports that this position was made when the High Commissioner of Namibia to Nigeria visited SMEDAN.
Current statistics show that less than 10% of Africa's MSMEs contribute to export, as most of them on the continent lack the capital, training, and formal structure to prepare their products for exports. It is for this reason that Namibia's High Commissioner to Nigeria and permanent member of ECOWAS, Humphrey Geseb, at SMEDAN, is seeking collaboration to develop the sector with a view to strengthening MSMEs for export. He said, with 200 million people and despite challenges, Nigeria's MSME sector is succeeding and serves as a reference point for other countries in Africa.
Matters of small and medium enterprises are vital matters to the population, to the government of our countries. If we capacitate small and medium enterprises, we are developing the economy of the country, and through that, we are able to grow our economies at a very good rate.
We have, so it is now time for us to put ourselves together and make sure that we have a strong partnership and collaboration in African countries, because we don't expect anybody to come and develop Africa for us. It is we Africans that have the responsibility of developing our continent.
Director General of SMEDAN, Umaru Diko Rada, stressed that it is important for countries to collaborate towards MSMEs development on the continent, especially with the AFCFTA fully in place. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
We now go over to Enugu, where Mina is standing by with the next set of reports on Nationwide. Hello, Mina.
Hello, Lydia. Good evening and welcome to Enugu. The Southeast public hearing of the House of Representatives on the 1999 Constitution review sitting in Enugu has proposed the alteration of a section of the 1999 Constitution as amended for gender equality in the political corridors, while canvassing for the education of the girl child within Nigerian societies, among other submissions. Kelechi Ochaha was at the zonal public hearing, which has the minority leader of the Green Chambers, Toby Okechukwu, as the chairman.
Declaring the event open, the Enugu State Governor, Ifeanyi Ogwuanyi, reaffirmed his administration's unwavering commitment in supporting the relevant proposed bills in the 1999 Constitution as amended for the interests of the Southeast citizenry and Nigeria at large.
I specifically declared our fervent support to amendments in our Constitution that will enhance the unity and prosperity of Nigeria in an environment where justice, fairness, and equity shall prevail.
Various organizations, associations, including non-governmental organizations, made contributions such as inclusion of community policing with a well-structured local governments that will work effectively at the grassroots. The chairman review of the Constitution Committee of the Southeast Public Hearing, Toby Okechukwu, noted that Nigeria is not new in constitution review, hence the West to craft and fine-tune a supreme law that is of the interest of the masses.
Presently, some of these issues about restructuring state police, autonomy of this, autonomy of that, are only coming up because the previous amendments were not assented to. It is a continuous process.
Goodwill messages came from Speaker, Enugu State House of Assembly, and some other dignitaries. The Southeast public hearing of the 9th Assembly sitting in Enugu is for Enugu, Anambra, and Ebonyi states. In Enugu, Kelechi Ochiaga, NTA News.
Participants of the Senior Executive Course 43 at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kurujos, are on a study tour of Enugu State with a view to coming up with advice that will assist President Buhari on the best ways of getting things done and mapping out strategies for implementing his administration's policies and programs. Chinenwoye reports that the delegation paid a courtesy visit to some traditional rulers in Nike to get their royal blessings.
The National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Kurujos, was established in 1979 as an institution where leaders that formulate policies will be trained. Every year they are given a task to conduct research and make input on strategies of implementation of policies and programs. This year, the task of the participants of the Senior Executive Course 43 is to advise the President on the best ways of getting things done. And so, the participants, who were drawn from various institutions and the presidency, were in Enugu for a study tour of the state. They were led by the Director General, NIPS, Brigadier General Chukwuemeka Udaya, and they deemed it fit to pay a visit to the royal fathers of the land to get their royal blessings.
We will task the Senior Executive Course with a particular challenging problem that he wants them to research on and advise him and his government.
In our system, when you train somebody about leadership, of course he will exhibit his experience. When you act of influence or affluence and throw somebody into leadership.
The delegation also visited the traditional ruler of Nike community, Igwe Julius Nnaji. It is expected that by November this year, the participants, who are divided into 7 study groups and who have toured many states in the country, will submit their reports to the President. In Enugu, Chinenwoye, NTA News.
And that's it from Enugu Nationwide. Continues with Zinrate in just after this commercial break.
Classes on television for students in secondary schools in English and mathematics will commence on the NTA. The revision classes will transmit Mondays to Fridays from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. This is organized in preparation for the various national examinations and orders. This is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Education.
NTA News 24, a 24-hour news station, brings to you news and happenings 7 days a week.
News at 10 a.m., news update at 11 and 1 p.m.
News desk at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. and late evening news at 11 p.m.
Follow us on any of our platforms and keep abreast of events and current affairs within and outside our shows.
We are on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46,
Star Times channel 101 and Free TV channel 703. Join us.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
Thanks for staying tuned. Good evening and welcome to JOS. Interest groups in north-central zone of the country are calling for comprehensive judicial and electoral reforms, local government autonomy, and gender equality. This was at a public hearing of the House of Representatives on the review of the 1999 Constitution in JOS. Cameron Canning Ladoja reports.
The public hearing drew state legislators, legal luminaries, civil society organizations, unions, and individuals who made submissions on issues ranging from gender equality to restructuring. The governors of Zamfara and Benue states represented also made submissions. Chairman of the committee and Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Ahmed Idris Wase, said the memos will be handled with utmost sincerity.
We will assure you
I'd like to assure Nigerians that by the grace of God, their agitations will be thoroughly considered by the members of the National Assembly.
Governor Simon Bakola Lalong said the assignment given to the 9th Assembly is vital for nation building.
We should take advantage of the platform to represent an amended submission and as one of the one rejected or removed from the 1999 Constitution to make it more people acceptable.
The governor advised people to be modest in their presentations and not overheat the polity through the social media. In Jos, Ekemeren Kaneng Ladoja, NTA News.
Plato State government says it will continue to accord priority to effective health care delivery in the state. Governor Simon Lalong was speaking in Jos while receiving the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Priscilla Grumnan has details.
The administration of second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine is coming after Governor Simon Lalong received the first dose on the 15th of March 2021. The governor expressed delight at the reduction of COVID-19 infection cases in the state, and he appreciated the patriotism of health workers who have continued to offer their services.
It is for your health. Our prayer is that we want you to be alive.
For the Plateau State Primary Health Care, it has innovated a site that will enable citizens access the vaccine in any part of the state.
Maybe you've been transferred to Shandam, you can go to the super site and your information will be readily available. You take it there instead of transporting yourself back to Jos. And in all the 36 states of the Federation, for the FCT, we have one major super site. And that super site is going to be on the Plateau, is going to be in Plateau Hospital.
Members of the Plateau State executives and heads of security agencies, among others, took turn to receive their second dose of the jab.
The message we are sending is that people should take this with all the seriousness. If the first citizen of the state has done that, it's a position of confidence. He has demonstrated leadership, and leadership by example.
Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja.
Thank you, Zinret. Still on COVID-19 vaccine. Nigeria officially confirms it will start receiving second consignment of COVID-19 vaccine from the COVAX facility from July 2021, just as discussions to access surplus vaccines stocked by developed countries continue. These were the information newsmen gathered during the now weekly COVID-19 vaccine briefing by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Abuja. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
3.7% proportion of the targeted eligible Nigerian population who had had their first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine have received their second dose as at 31st May. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency said it has made provision for those who might have changed location after their first dose to be able to receive their second dose in their new location.
While we are pushing for equity, justice, and fair play in the global allocation of COVID-19 vaccines, the Federal Ministry of Health is working with critical stakeholders to fast-track the establishment of local vaccine production plants in Nigeria.
I would like to request all those who have received the first dose of vaccine to please go to the nearest health facility to get their second dose of vaccine. Because if you don't take the second dose of vaccine, you are not fully protected.
WHO has challenged all of us, all the member states, to ensure that by September, we vaccinate at least 10% of our population, of our target.
Aware of the life-saving importance of vaccines, the federal government is determined to overcome the supply challenges the world faces and ensure COVID-19 vaccines are freely accessible to all eligible Nigerians. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Gige, says meeting between federal government and the health sector unions on upward review of hazard allowance is progressing as government gives a fresh offer in a summed amount. Kenneth Nanim reports that the amount offered by government was not disclosed by the Labour Minister, as discussions to amicably resolve other pending issues on the matter are yet to be concluded.
The Presidential Committee on Salaries, relevant federal government stakeholders, the health sector associations and the trade unions are interfacing at the Presidential Banquet Hall. Upward review of hazard allowance for workers in the public health sector, pegged at 5,000 naira per month, is the major issue on the table. To find a common ground to consider all the issues raised, the meeting moved into a closed-door session. Rising from the deliberation for about 4 hours in the technical session, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, explains that the negotiations will no longer be based on percentage, rather that government has offered quantum sum as hazard allowance for the health workers.
The government side gave that offer based on the reality we have on ground, that the economy is not doing very well and that the budget we have is a budget that is actually being funded on borrowing, the capital component. And the earnings of government have also drastically gone down. And during COVID, you know, government spent for 3 months about 31 billion for payment for last year up to now. So the government side had offered things that I think very reasonable, increasing the former positions for junior workers and for the senior workers. Junior workers, I think about 350% rise, and the senior workers are about 600% rise, or thereabouts.
The meeting was adjourned for another 2 weeks to enable all sides consult widely and return to the negotiation table. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Nigeria, as a party to the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer, enjoys financial and technical support from the multilateral fund of the protocol. That support is yielding results and has birthed a new stage in phasing out ozone-depleting substances in the country. Onengie Fineface reports.
Hydrochlorofluorocarbons are a group of ozone-depleting substances used as refrigerants in refrigeration and air conditioning, and is also used as blowing agent in the foam sector. Implementation of stage 1 of the phase-out of these substances has resulted in 10% reduction of HCFC importation in Nigeria. It is this success that has given rise to the commencement of the second stage of the project with the inauguration of a project steering committee.
I am honored to inaugurate the HPMP Stage 2 Project Steering Committee with the sincere belief that its members will work closely with the National Ozone Office of the Ministry to ensure that Nigeria achieves 51.35 reduction of ozone-depleting refrigerant in the country by 2023.
Nigeria is also working on policies and regulations to enforce eventual ban on the importation of ozone-depleting refrigerants and complete phase-out of these substances by 2040. Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
WaterAid Nigeria and the National Water Resources Institute have entered into partnership towards delivering equitable total sanitation at scale in Nigeria. Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu believes this partnership aimed at bridging the institutional and capacity gaps at the grassroots will facilitate attainment of the WASH targets. WASH correspondent Musbah Danwahab reports.
National WASH Action Plan and National Sanitation Campaign tagged Clean Nigeria, Use the Toilets. Those are the flagships among other policies and programs of this administration to write the story of the water, sanitation and hygiene sector. Progress has been steady, with 61 LGAs now cleaned up of open defecation and more access gained to save water across the country. But then, the task ahead is still daunting.
In spite of slight progress nationally, Nigeria ranks first among countries globally with the highest population of people defecating in the open, and we still have 112 million without access to basic sanitation.
Coming from months of observation and analysis, the National Water Resources Institute and Water Aid Nigeria have discovered the loose ends to be tied in the right context, specific sanitation approaches and accompanying capacities to implement sanitation programs in rural communities of Nigeria. Agreement on that is now documented and it's time for action.
We are all bent on making sure that this total sanitation is taken at higher scale in Nigeria.
I think every effort that is being made to improve sanitation in this country is welcome. But like I said, fundamentally, this is something different. We've been doing advocacy, we've been building toilets, we've been doing boreholes and so on. But for the first time, we're having a situation where instructions are going to be given, tailored towards this particular problem, hopefully to get us out of this mess in accordance with the timetable of Sustainable Development Goals.
Water Resources Minister believes with the multiple approaches, including total political will and the strengthening of inter-ministerial efforts, Nigeria is on course towards realizing its water, sanitation and hygiene goals. In Abuja, Muspal and Wahab, NTA News.
Stiffer penalties, speedy prosecution, full implementation of Violence Against Persons Act, backed by proper training and funding of institutions in charge of handling gender-based issues, have been identified as some of the best ways to tackle the issues of gender-based violence in Nigeria. These were positions of guests on Good Morning Nigeria today. Thomas Ogbetere reports.
Based violence, no doubt, is on the increase in Nigeria, and more worrisome is the fact that most cases are either not reported or underreported. This certainly makes it difficult for the prosecution of perpetrators and serve as deterrents to others. Guests on the program advocated the need for special courts to handle cases on gender-based violence.
The Honorable Attorney General of the Federation was quoted as saying that they are going to establish special courts for GBV cases. This is almost a year now. Nothing has happened about it. And I think that we need to do that.
They also called for coordinated synergy between the police, the Ministry of Women Affairs, and health workers for proper handling of emotional, psychological, and sexual gender-based violence, geared towards getting justice and compensation for victims.
While this exists, there is a reason it has remained with us as a society. There is a reason young girls are killed every day and there is no justice. It's because already we do not even have efficient, effective frameworks, institutional systems that can address gender-based violence. So what you have are women, most times you have women and girls who even scream out, have been abused.
The reported cases in those sexual assault referral centers, they've documented 17,000 cases. And I can tell you, for any sexual violence that is reported to any of those SAC, I can tell you with no equivocation that 100 others were not reported.
Guests, while calling on victims to always speak up, added that there is also need for good parenting that will make children become good citizens and see gender-based violence as evil. In Abuja, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
The National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency is going into more partnerships to strengthen the fight against illicit substance abuse. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that the latest is with Women, Youth, Children Crime Organization.
This meeting between the Anti-Illicit Drugs Agency and advocates for a drug and crime-free society is aimed at bringing lasting solutions to the menace of substance abuse among teeming youth. Habits that stakeholders say bring setback to democratic process in the country.
The drug demand reduction has to be given equal priority and prominence to the drug supply reduction. So it's not all about seizures and arrests. We have to cut the demand down. And WICO is definitely a veritable partner
The Women, Youth, Children Crime Organization is also supporting the position of NDLEA that political aspirants should undergo drugs test for effective service delivery to the people they want to represent.
Banditries, the kidnapping, the rape, the killings, the arson, the assassinations, and all that's going on is linked to drugs. There's no way you as a human being will look at a child, kidnap him, and take him in the forest, keep him for months, and look at his innocent fellow and put a trigger and shot him in cold blood. It has to be drugs.
There is the optimism here that this partnership will yield positive results in the quest for a drug-free society. In Abuja, Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
In order to further bring sanity and prevent escalation of lawlessness in Zamfara State, Governor Bello Mohammed has signed and approved an order of declaration of proclamation on the entire land of the state. This emanates from the order of shoot at sight by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on anybody found wielding guns unlawfully. A statement issued by Special Advisor, Zamfara State Directorate for Public Enlightenment, Media and Communication, Zailani Bafa, says the governor makes the following proclamations. All firearms in illegal possession of all persons in Zamfara State are to be handed over to the nearest police station within 7 days of the proclamation. The governor calls on citizens to abide by the law and make Zamfara State safe and free from acts of lawlessness compounded by lingering problem of banditry. Sports update is next.
Right from the first kick of the ball in the 2020-2021 season of the Premier League, it was obvious that it was going to be a weird season with the coronavirus pandemic keeping the fans away until the penultimate week. The inconsistency of the video assistant referees made it even weirder. All 20 teams competed with different objectives. The title chase, which was very open in the beginning, became a battle between the two Manchester clubs, City and United, at the turn of the year, with the citizens eventually claiming the league title after an impressive campaign. Manchester United finished second, but the race for the top four behind them was very interesting. Liverpool, despite looking destined for Europa League, gate-crashed the top four to finish third. Chelsea were fourth, while Leicester City, who were third for a larger chunk of the season, dropped to fifth. West Ham United, Aston Villa and returning Leeds United put up impressive performances, with West Ham finishing sixth, while Tottenham beat Arsenal to the seventh spot, returning Fulham and West Brom alongside the 2020 surprise team. Sheffield United got relegated. Harry Kane finished as the league's top scorer and assister, with Bruno Fernandes and Ilkay Gundogan also outstanding. But the performances of newcomers like Manchester City defender Ruben Dias and Manchester United striker Edison Cavani were eye-catching. Emiliano Martinez of Aston Villa and Jesse Lingard, who was on loan at West Ham, also made the list.
Nobody was looking at him at Manchester United. He leaves for a loan spell at West Ham United and was smashing everybody else, dragging the team by the scruff of the neck and leading them to Europe. So, I'm very excited for the young man. Then, of course, you had a Joe Willock, who was not even playing at Arsenal, going to Newcastle United also, to be dropping goals every week.
It was a great season for followers of the league in Nigeria, as quite a number of Nigerian stars like Kelechi Iheanacho and Wilfred Ndidi of Leicester City, Shemi Ajayi of West Brom, 5 more players at Fulham, and many more were always flying the Nigerian flag. Managerial changes also defined the season, with Thomas Tuchel replacing Frank Lampard at Chelsea. Sam Allardyce was chosen after West Brom sacked Slaven Bilic, while Tottenham's Jose Mourinho and Sheffield United's Chris Wilder also lost their jobs. The biggest one that almost marred the season was the failed European breakaway, the Super League, which saw the Big Six in the league fully involved as founder members.
I didn't think it was going to fly with the way teams were pulling out and the fact that the UEFA was going to stand against it. When it comes to clubs and businesses, they should think about the players as well, not just themselves.
The 2020-2021 season of the Premier League is gone. However, the bottom line will always be, it was a very strange season. In Abuja, Bade Adeleye, NTA News.
And that concludes Nationwide. Before we go, don't forget that NTA is still on in its fight against rape and rapists. I am Lydia Odije-Ochi. Have a beautiful evening. Goodbye.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.